future in great health today. Every day, responsible self. Where the fighters will fight for health. The future in great health today. Every day, responsible self. Where the fighters will fight for health. The future in great health today. Every day, responsible self. Where the fighters will fight for health. The future in great health today. Every day, responsible self. Where the fighters will fight for health. Well, good morning and welcome to My Help, My Mississippi. You are listening to the number one show on the radio. Thank you for listening to WMPR 90.1. Listen, guys, the number one station in the nation that's providing you healthy, helpful information. Again, greetings to you and thank you for always tuning in to My Help, My Mississippi every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. We're grateful that you are dedicated. We are thankful for WMPR for this platform, 90.1 FM, providing you information you can grab on the run. So get ready. We have a guest coming this morning. If she's running just a little late this morning, Dr. LaFera. But I want you to realize something. I'll say this every Thursday morning, and that is high blood pressure is not mandatory. No, it's not. And I need you to realize that it is not mandatory, and you don't have to have it. And I want you to know that type 2 diabetes, it is not mandatory. But action is required, people. Action is required. I mean, I was, just listening to Dr. Adney, and man, what a great conversation. Now, let me just say, high cholesterol is not mandatory. None of this is mandatory. We don't have to have any of this. Why am I here every Thursday morning? Simply because I want to get a message out that, guys, we got to fight for our health. You were listening to the song, The Future in Great Health Today, Every Day, Responsible Self. And the reason that song comes on is because I want you to realize that you're responsible for some things, okay? Now, look. It's not all our fault. We've been taught wrong for so long. People have poured into our head what we should eat, what we should, what we shouldn't eat, and how we should eat, when we should eat. And we have developed some serious illnesses that we have to take some medication for. So if you take your medication, continue to take your medication. But can I say something? Food is medicine. Steve Jobs said it best. He said, if you don't make food your medicine, then medicine will become your food. I just want you to know that even if you're on medication, you still should be conscious about what you're eating. It should help the medicine, not hurt or fight against the medicine. You should have a plan of health that is saying, what I want to do is to lower my medication, working with your doctor to lower your medication, right? So that you can maybe even reverse the condition that you're being treated for. These are the kind of things that we have to be thinking about. We just can't get so comfortable with these diseases. Not when nearly 120 million adults in the USA has high blood pressure. No. And 48% of the adults, that's one out of every two, And that's amazing. And diabetes, about 40.1 million Americans have diabetes. And 90 to 95% of those cases are type 2 diabetes. About 25 million US adults have high cholesterol. Wow. 86 million adults have cholesterol level above 200. That's a problem. And food matters, and we're not thinking about what we're eating or how we're eating, not even when we're eating. You know, I would say, let your last meal, pick a time, but don't let your last meal be 12 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. Pick a time so your food can digest before you go to bed. Give yourself at least 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours to digest before you go to bed. And start moving and exercising. Remember EFP, eating for purpose. Your purpose is for your heart. Your purpose is for your lungs. Your purpose is for your kidneys. You're eating not just for the taste. And listen, I love good tasting food. It just has to be good for my body. I don't want no nasty food. But I understand that when I eat food, food is healing, right? It tastes good, but it should be healing my body. It shouldn't be causing my blood to flow like molasses in the wintertime. It shouldn't. I shouldn't have fatty food all day long, because it's an indicator when the blood is flowing slow like that. Okay, blood should be flowing like water. But it's all about the food. Now, everything that you eat, it gets into your bloodstream. The body works so marvelously. Let me tell you, that's when you go to the doctor, what do they want from you? Regardless of what you tell them, what do they want from you? They want some blood. The blood's going to tell the story. And so what we have to do is to make sure that we're telling the story before we go to the doctor, okay, by how we're eating. EFP, we're eating for purpose, because we know what we're eating is going to get into our bloodstream, and we want it to flow like it's supposed to. So we have to have a high fiber, low fat diet. When you eat a lot of fat, that's getting into that bloodstream, and then it is thickening the blood. Your bloodstream is like a river flowing through you. And when you contaminate the river, like you're contaminating the blood, you're contaminating the whole body, because the blood is going to go throughout what? The whole body. Am I right? It's going to flow through the whole body. The heart is going to do what it's supposed to do. Okay? It's going to pump and pump. And it's going to pump that blood throughout the whole body. Now, if the blood is so thick that it can't pump it down to the toes are going to do what? They're going to turn blue, right? Black, right? And what the doctor's going to recommend you do? That's right, Mark, is going to cut the toes off. Because what do I always say? If the blood don't flow, the toes got to go. And we say that, and I don't want you to be offended by that, but I just want you to take it to heart, because your blood should flow from the head to the toes. Okay? If it's not, most of the time it's something that you've done. It's your diet. It's something that you've eaten that's causing it to not flow. Okay? Rare cases where it's a medical condition that we were born with. Okay? It's never, most of the time, it's not in our DNA. It's our DIET. Am I right? It's in that diet. And listen, I know it's hard for you. I know it's hard, but man, we gotta do it hard, okay? And I tell people all the time, it's not easy to change how I'm eating, but I'm willing if it change how I'm feeling, because my body needs healing. My body needs healing. And what's going to heal the body? Food. Now, you can treat the body with what? Medication, okay? And you should if there's a need for it. But I'm here to say that, guys, the first thing we ought to do is look at food as medicine, okay? Because it absolutely is. And when we look at food as medicine, now we're going to avoid a lot of what? A lot of medication. Because we're going to allow the food to operate as medicine. So what does that look like? Well, here's what it looked like. It looks like maybe you should have vegetables every day, some green vegetables every day. What do I say? Get those greens into your bloodstream so you can help that blood to flow. Am I right? Grains. You want to lose the weight you gain? Eat you some grains. The Asian country, I mean, they used to be so thin. Why? Because what would be on their plate mostly? Rice. Am I right? And they're thin until we westernize them, send our McDonald's and our chicken over there, and they start eating that. So now they're looking like we do, right? But we got to do better than that, guys. So we got to get those vegetables, we got to get those grains, and we got to get those fruits every day. Got to get those fruits. High in fiber, it's low in fat. I'm just giving you the four food categories that you need to incorporate. A high fiber, low fat diet. Okay. And the last one is your legumes, which are your beans and your peas. Beans are king and queen of protein. People always want to ask you, and they ask me, well, how do you get your protein? Listen, we've been told we have to get it from meat. And I'm not saying don't eat meat. Eat whatever you want to eat. I just need you to know the facts, okay? Meat has zero fiber in it, and so you need to know that, okay? It's going to stay in the body longer than it's supposed to in it. So if it don't have fiber, then you got to make sure you're eating a lot of other food that has a lot of fiber in it. Does that make any sense? Okay? Egg is zero fiber. Zero. Dairy is zero fiber. But these foods are high in fat, and we consume a lot of them. And so, therefore, we have a high fat diet and low fiber diet because we don't EFP. We don't eat for purpose. We don't BMI, be more intentional. We got to be more intentional about what we're putting in our system so that our system can do what? Fight for us, operate for us the way it's supposed to, and not have all the different diseases that is, quite frankly, have become normal in the United States. When you're saying that there's nearly 120 million adults in the U.S. With high blood pressure, wow, that's crazy. And then when you look at Mississippi, 43% of Mississippi adults have high blood pressure. 43% of the people who are in Mississippi are being treated with high blood pressure. That's 1 out of every 2 adults. So if there's 2 people in the room, one of you have high blood pressure. But we have normalized it, and I'm just simply saying if food matters, guys, we don't need to do that. And 1 out of 7 Mississippians are living with diabetes. 1 out of 7. Wow. And with Mississippi population around 2.9 million, that's approximately 400,000 plus people that has high cholesterol. So the three things that I say every Thursday morning that is not and I said they're not mandatory, we're suffering with those here in Mississippi. And I need you to know you don't have to though. They're not mandatory. But why do we suffer with these diseases mostly? Well, here's why. We struggle with our diet. We struggle with what we eat mostly. Okay? That lead to most of these diseases. We struggle with obesity. It's a direct relation. Is related directly related to food. Okay, and so it's no wonder we have these diseases. Nobody's telling us we don't have to have them, but we're out here right here on WMPR 90.1, number one show on the radio. We're saying they're not mandatory. People want to treat you for them, and again, I want you to be treated for them. Okay, but I need you to know it's just not mandatory. Good morning, Carl. Welcome to WMPR, My Help, My Mississippi. How can I help you?
I was calling about the program you have on air right now.
Uh-huh.
Is the program that we're listening to, is it live or is it recorded?
It's live.
Oh, okay. So am I on air? Because I turned my radio off to call.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Well, I was calling because, one, to compliment you, your information is great and it's good for the public to hear. But sometimes the way in which we phrase things can lead people to do things that can be against their health, such as telling people about not eating enough meat when quite a lot of people don't have enough protein in their diet. And if their protein intake is too low, they can have cardiovascular issues because the heart and the diaphragm are muscles. And then also dissuading them against eating things like eggs can be detrimental because there's research that shows that the cholesterol in eggs has very little to no contribution to a person's overall cholesterol. And so many other little tweaks and things that you're saying that are great, but also can be misleading for people who may have certain medical conditions, especially when you mentioned that a person should stop eating 2 to 3 hours before they go to bed, when in fact people who are diabetic should eat something before they go to bed to prevent their blood sugar from spiking before they go to sleep. So I hear you sprinkling a few disclaimers, but making hard and fast, exact recommendations can be detrimental to some of your listeners if you're not a little bit more clear versus being hard and fast.
Well, we certainly don't want to be hard and fast, and we certainly are saying, and I don't think you're saying you should eat a full meal before you go to bed. I mean, you can always, so you can, and so my point is that, I mean, most of us eat and go to bed. Most of us, but you can have a fruit, you can have something light to go to bed with. But your food do need to digest. Otherwise, you're not going to get rest. That's science. That's not me.
Sure.
That's not me talking.
If a person has digestive issues.
Yeah, well, that's basically our system digests food, and it takes time. So my point is, science has said that we need to let our food digest, and then we'll rest better. Now, that's not on me. That's science.
Right. Now, with a person who has diabetes, the recommendation is that they eat something about an hour before they go to bed, which still leaves time for digestion. Now, I know you're not giving out individual nutrition information, but I would caution you to be a little bit more vague and to always, to tell people to take into consideration their individual health conditions. But I agree with a lot of things you said. Food is literally medicine because we are what we eat. And people eat far too many processed foods and things like that. So when you mention that people need to not eat so much meat is protein, we don't need to eat as much fatty meat. Lean meat
Okay, so let me ask you
Way.
a question though, and thank you for bringing this up, Carl. I really appreciate the conversation here. But I don't eat meat. That I'm not saying for people not to eat meat. So
Right.
so where do I get my proteins from? Because cows don't eat meat either. Where do they get
Correct.
their proteins from? So I don't want
Cows
people
have
to be.
poor stomachs.
I don't want
So
people. Listen, I don't want people to be misled. I don't care about
correct.
people eating meat. I just don't want all food has proteins in it. I just don't want people to think that you have to have meat. Like we've been taught wrong for so long. So I'm sure you'll have to agree with that. We don't have to have meat to have protein. You know, does that make sense? But I'm not saying for people, I don't really care what people eat. I said meat doesn't have any fiber. That's
Correct.
science.
And so I agree with what you were saying about the fiber part because it is important. And you use a lot of cute phrases that I like when you were saying something about the toes and the grains and things like that. That was good. But you have to make sure that you phrase it appropriately where if people do eat meat, because it's very difficult for many people to create a diet that will, I'm so sorry, I'm also dropping my daughter off at school. But so they do need a lot of fiber. And you're right. Having a high fiber diet is quite important. But if a person chooses to eat meat, what you need to make sure that you're letting them know is that with their plate, they need to have a high fiber on that plate with meat. And if that is a lean meat and healthy fiber, that's better. So I'm not calling to be antagonistic. I'm calling because you want to make sure that you're phrasing options for different types of people. Because sometimes people, when they hear good stuff, like you're saying, and all your phrases, they will take everything to heart literally, and they will go against their own personal medical advice they've gotten because you said it. So you just have to be a little bit more careful about that. And I do apologize for cutting it short, but I'm having a little issue here with my 3-year-old who doesn't care about our conversation. But this is my first time listening to your show. I will keep listening. How often are you on?
We're every Thursday morning, 7 a.m.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. And I will listen again. Have a great day.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right. We're lit up this morning. Good morning. Welcome to My Help My Mississippi.
Good morning. Good morning. I get my protein, and I know I don't eat right, but I eat that nasty Greek yogurt because it's good for me, not because it's good to me. And sometimes I will sprinkle a little cinnamon in it. Yesterday I sprinkled a little, I don't know what it was, but as long as I can get that nasty stuff in my body that's so good for me, I passed over the 12 grams of protein because it had a little flavor in it, but it had a little more sugar to it. So I just stuck with the 15 grams of protein from that nasty Greek yogurt that is so good for my body. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Wow. I appreciate the callers for listening this morning. And let me just, is that another one, Marcus? I think that's you. I just want to say thank you for being a listener. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for your opinion. We're not saying for you not to always listen to your doctor and do what you're supposed to do. Okay. As a matter of fact, I have a doctor that's coming in this morning. She has made it. And so we got, hold on one. Okay. Good morning, caller. Welcome to WMPR.
And Chef, I'm interested in the young lady that called in about the particulars and how you stated things and whatever. And briefly, would you please share with her before you came on air today, who was on the air about 40 minutes before you came on?
Dr. Edney.
Who is Dr. Edney?
He is the head
state health officer.
Yes, he is.
Okay. And he went through some of the basic stuff that you're dealing with, but I would like to talk with the young lady because I would like to share some information with her. Now, it's a good thing that she piqued that conversation, but in the African American community, and I'm gonna forever go back. And now, Chef, I reached out to Duke University because I sent you over the response email, right?
Right.
all right? In the African American community, the things that's killing us in the community is not small phrases and things that people being misled. What's killing us is tradition, habits, and behaviors.
That's
I'm gonna say
it.
it again. Tradition, habits, and behavior.
Right.
And I appreciate so much what you're doing, but we need to make sure that we get this information out, because a lot of people don't want to stop doing things that's causing us problems. And when you talk about a person that's got diabetes, we've been able to reverse. People have been able to reverse their diabetes, get off insulin, and get off medication
Yes.
by changing their habits. Okay, so, and young lady, my number, please give me a call, 601-899-2327. I'd like to share some information with you, but more than anything, I love to send you the video from Dr. Edn's podcast. Thank you, Chef, for what you're doing. Great work.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Mr. Jones. Listen, guys, first of all, I am so thankful that you all are listening in and want to have a conversation about food, because for so long we've been taught wrong, and we've developed habits, and we continue to have these habits, and we're going to continue to have these diseases. So I'll continue to say food matters, and I'll continue to say high blood pressure is not mandatory, and type 2 diabetes is not mandatory. And so folks want to hold on to these diseases and then say they can't eat this or they can't eat this. Do that. That's fine if you want to keep the diseases, but if you want to get rid of them, we're saying food matters. Well, I don't want to prolong. Thank you again, callers, for making this really good. But I have the amazing Dr. LaFera with me today. I'm going to introduce her, and her story is so amazing. She got up early just for us today, guys. She don't, and I so appreciate it. I've been trying to get her to be on My Help My Mississippi forever. So you're listening to WMPR 90.1, My Help My Mississippi, the #1 show on the radio. So let me just introduce real quick. Dr. LaFera Young. She is a triple board certified physician, pathologist, keynote speaker, and founder of Always Young Consulting. After rebuilding her health through rheumatoid arthritis and sarcoidosis and a near fatal illness that left her hospitalized, she became determined to help others build the strength to keep saying yes to the life they want to live. And that's what inspires me. That's why I get up in the morning. I want people to want to live without hesitation and disease. Okay, but anyway, as a pathologist, Dr. Young spent nearly 2 decades solving medical mysteries by recognizing patterns hidden beneath the surface. Today, she helps high-achieving women build stronger bodies through nutrition, strength training, and sustainable daily habits. That's what I'm talking about, these habits. Man, so they can stay strong. It's all about those habits, just like Mrs. Jones said. It's about those habits. And people want to hold on to these bad habits. Wow. Sharp and independence through every season of life. She also helped organizations recognize one of today's most overlooked performance risks, the gap between capability and capacity. I just love that. Capability, because so we're capable of doing so much. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to hear her talk. I'm gonna get through this. Through keynote speaking, workshop, and consulting, she equips leaders with practical strategies to protect human capacities, strengthen decision making, and build sustainable performance in an incredible, demanding world. Dr. Young is the best-selling author of I like to chew to be healthy. Choose to be healthy, CHEWS, play on words, and a proud mother of three children, twin college freshmen, Benjamin and Joshua, and her daughter is that a lawyer?
Mhm.
A lawyer.
Mhm.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
been
you.
so hard getting you here. I'm so glad
I
you're
know.
here. Go ahead and let everybody know about you, why you do what you do. I have a ton of questions for you, but
Okay.
go ahead and talk to us.
All right. As you mentioned in your introduction, I have made a lot of accomplishments. But I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
And I know you talk about this a lot.
Mhm.
The saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right?
Well, a lot of us, including me, have been guilty of running on an empty cup and thinking that that's what we were required to do to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to tell everybody that for 20 years,
Mhm.
I was running on empty.
Wow.
I didn't know I was running on empty. And I also call that living in survival mode.
Okay.
And so as a doctor, we're taught to look at everyone and to put our patients' needs before our own, and that spills over into our personal life. And
Mhm.
so for 20 years, I did that until one day I ended up getting so sick that it was difficult for me to breathe. I went to the doctor, was told I didn't have pneumonia. Asked again twice, was told I didn't have pneumonia, got a little medication, went home, and for weeks I sat at home feeling the same way.
Mhm.
And I got to a point to where I couldn't walk and talk at the same time.
Wow.
I had to sit before I just started talking. And I came to a realization that what I was doing, because I was trying the natural stuff that I knew to do at home, and it wasn't working. So I made the decision one morning to give my daughter a kiss. She and I had been working on this speech that she had to do, and I gave her a kiss, and I knew that I was going to go to the hospital, and I didn't know what was going to happen after that. And so I gave her a kiss and I went to the hospital, and it was in the emergency room that I was told that, Dr. Young, you're not going to make your daughters play. I'm sorry. But if you leave now, you're not going to make it. And so when he said that to me, that hit me really hard. And so a week or so later, I found myself in the hospital, on oxygen. I was on 5 liters of oxygen, still no diagnosis, until finally they realized that I had something that some places say that 90% of people who get it don't survive.
Wow.
And so I made the decision at that point to take the medication, to do whatever I needed to do to help get me out of that situation if it was possible. And for one of the very first times, you know, a lot of us, we say, if I could just make it through tomorrow. But for one of the very first times, tomorrow is something that I couldn't see.
Wow.
It was, I had to get through today. And
Yeah.
so that was one of those moments that started me to just living in the moment. And I realized how important that was. And for so long, I had not done that. And so I started making sure that I was along with the treatment, I was eating, I was attempting to eat the protein that we know that it's important for recovery. But I was getting resistance. I wasn't getting the protein that I was requested for. So instead of protein, I was getting sugar. Seems like in the hospital. And instead of the things that were on my restricted list that I couldn't eat and I knew I shouldn't eat with an autoimmune disease, they were being brought to me daily.
In the hospital.
In the hospital.
Okay.
And so what I decided to do was I had my parents to start bringing me food into the hospital. So they started bringing me a lot of raw vegetables because that's what I asked for.
Right.
And so I won't say coasting along, because I had a lot of ups and downs in the hospital, not being able to breathe. That puts you in a very vulnerable place. And so I was able to, even in that situation, continue to just be, like I said, live in the moment and be hopeful. And I started praying a lot more. And I was starting to have hope that I would get out. And then one night something crazy happened that I did, just kind of threw me off. It was around 7:30 and my nurse had just put me in the shower. She had taken me with all my wires and stuff hooked up to me. And she put me in the shower and she got called away. And I was in the shower and all the steam and everything started filling up the room, and I'm waiting, and I'm like, it's been at least 5 minutes, and maybe 10 minutes passing, and I'm on oxygen and I'm starting to get short of breath, and I'm like, I need to get back in the bed, or I'm not gonna be able to make it to the bed. And so I'm looking the distance between the shower and the bed, and I had to make a plan, and I eventually found myself back in the bed, but I also found myself very upset. So I called my mom, and my mom, she was able to get me to calm down and to kind of put things into perspective. And one of the things that she said was, take back your power.
And so right there, and this is what we're calling this session of the title of this show, Taking Back Your Power. And let's explain a little bit about your mom. Your mom is an actual nurse.
She is.
She's a nurse, but she worked at a different hospital than where you were, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, take back your power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And so when she said that, I said, you know what? You're right. One of the things that I had stopped doing was, when I said I put things into perspective, one of the things I had stopped doing was focusing on the things that I could control versus the things that I couldn't control.
Right.
I couldn't control the disease that I had necessarily.
Right.
At the time in the hospital, I could not. That was an acute situation. I couldn't control the stuff the cafeteria was bringing me.
Right.
I couldn't control the nurse
leaving you, forgetting about you in the shower.
I couldn't control whether they really actually cared about me or not. But what I could control was how I chose to allow that to affect me. I could control that. I could control what I put in my body.
Right.
I could control those things.
And you could control how you move your body.
Correct. Yeah. So you listen. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, I could. And so even though I couldn't get up and walk around, I would sit and I would move my arms and my legs as I could in the hospital bed.
Because you felt that was important.
It was important.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. And so one of the first things I did was I started pulling out some of those Uber cards that people had sent me. I was like, okay, cafeteria's fired. And what I came up with was a different approach to the way that I ate, even in the hospital, that was going to, in my mind, that was going to help me, because I was taking some pretty toxic medications that were necessary for me to get out with what I had. Because I was in kidney failure as well because of the medications. And so I put together now it's a framework. I realized it's a framework. I wasn't thinking that way then. I was just I was rightly in survival mode at that point. So when I say for 20 years I lived in survival mode, that's not okay to do that long term. Right. But to do it short term, we have to. Right. Because our bodies may need us to let that adrenaline, that cortisol kick in for us to survive short term. So the medication that caused you kidney failure, I didn't realize that. Okay. Yep. And I, as a physician, I was checking my labs, and so they have these apps where you can check your labs and everything inside of the hospital. So I was checking my labs. And so whenever the doctors, I had maybe 14 worth of doctors come in my room every morning. And so when they would when they would come in, I would start out saying, okay, so this is off, this is off, this is off. What do we? And so I knew I was in kidney failure. I knew that the medication was putting me there. I knew that the medication that I was taking was damaging my gut health.
Okay.
But I wasn't concerned so much about that at the time. I was just concerned about it working and killing what I had to get me out of there. And so what I came up with, that I look back in hindsight with, was a framework. And when we talk about take back your power, what does that mean? That means, to me, your power is your fuel, right? The things that fuel you. And so I mentioned putting into perspective what you can and can't control, but also what's important is how you fuel your body.
Okay.
And when I'm talking about fuel in this way, I'm talking about the food.
Okay.
So first, you front load your protein,
Okay.
F. You unhook from the spike, from that cortisol spike, because
Okay.
a lot of us, and I'll go back and explain those. So F, and then U, and then E is eat for your gut, and L is lower your load, lower your inflammatory load.
Okay.
So what I realized that I was doing inside the hospital, protein, eating your protein, protein forward. You need at least 30 grams of, you need at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Now, how were you getting your protein? What were you eating to give you the protein?
So I was eating vegetables. One, I was eating beans, lentils, those types of things. But I was also eating meat because at the time, protein, period, was important for me, because when your body is under attack by disease,
Mm-hmm.
you need protein.
Mhm.
You need muscle, really, but muscle is supported by protein.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say protein forward, the easy way to think about that, if you're at home, is 30 grams of protein. If you're eating 3 meals, 30 grams of protein per meal.
Mm-hmm.
So that automatically gives you 90 grams of protein. And so, and I was also getting my protein from shakes. Now,
Okay.
when I tell you that they were giving me sugar in the hospital, one of the forms of that was I asked to be put on protein shakes.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically asked for low sugar protein.
Right.
The first protein shake I got tasted like a milkshake,
Wow.
and I did not drink it.
Mhm.
So I got that changed, and so that was one of the biggest ways that I could kind of track how much protein I was getting, was because I was getting the shakes.
Okay. But as a physician, you would know all of this. But as a regular person, what would you, how they wouldn't?
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't know that. And as physicians, I'm just going to be honest. As traditional allopathic medical doctors, we do not get a lot of nutrition teaching in medical school.
Okay, now I need you to not go too fast when you say that, because people always want to look to their physicians for things that they may not know. They diagnose and they can prescribe medicine,
Mhm.
but you're saying, and I've known this for years, they don't get much nutritional training.
Correct. We do not.
As a physician, you do not.
No, we do not. I think I didn't even get what a semester. I think I got one class on nutrition out of
That's
a
what I've
whole 4
heard.
years of medical school. And so when we tell our patients eat an anti-inflammatory diet, what are y'all supposed to do with that? Cut back on your sugar. Don't eat fried foods. Okay, all right. That's what we tell people. But a lot of us don't do that, and we don't take our own advice.
So we had a caller that was saying that, and she had great information, but like your medication causes you to have some kidney failure. You recognize that, but I've seen so many people leave with those conditions, and then they continue to be treated for those conditions that the medication actually caused. Am I right? And she was saying, with diabetes. I like to get rid of diabetes, but people want to always be treated for diabetes. And her conversation was to me, if a person has diabetes, and I totally get it, and she's right, you want to make sure that they supposed to eat right before going to bed. I want to, my whole premise is type 2 is reversible.
Yes, that is correct.
But why won't physicians a lot of times say, we need to reverse this, but do they not feel like the patient are capable of? Just like the caller, it was like, I mean, I say if the blood don't flow, the toes have to go, and that's a hard phrase, and I get it. But I want people's blood to flow all the way down to the toe, and so they can keep their toes. But a lot of them are not trying to reverse it, doctor. They just being treated for it. Am I wrong for wanting them to be rid of it?
No, you're not. And one of my goals is for people to be able to live a life that's not defined by their circumstances. And in my knowledge, not in my opinion, whether it's all evidence-based or not, and from what I've seen, a diagnosis is only as good as the genes and the lifestyle that are backed by that diagnosis. So you can make certain lifestyle changes even after you've been diagnosed with a disease to cause certain genes that have been activated that have triggered that disease to become reversed. Now, your body always remembers the score. That's a book, right? So
yeah.
Your body, so just like if you've ever had a scar, your body always is going to know that place was injured. So if you have a disease, your body's not going to forget you had that disease. So that's always going to be a weak point for you. But that does not mean that you cannot reverse certain diseases, and diabetes is definitely reversible, and so is high blood pressure.
Right.
But the things, just like the caller before I came on, if you continuously engage in the habits that got you there, you're headed back on the road to that condition. Just because you've reversed it one time doesn't mean that you're probably at a higher risk of getting it than someone who never had it, because your body remembers.
Gotcha.
So yes, it's diabetes is definitely reversible. And actually I was pre-diabetic for years. And I wasn't told I was pre-diabetic. So when I was in the hospital, one of the things that I was doing was I was going back through my charts. And I was looking at it, and I was like, okay. And I was pre-diabetic. I wasn't really that concerned about it. But then I went to a health fair, and it was a health fair we met at, I think. And they were doing A1Cs, and mine was pre-diabetic, and I was like, okay. But then I got home and I thought about it. I am a few points, not whole points, a few portions of a point away from diabetes. How did I get here? I didn't get here because I'm overweight. I didn't get here because I don't eat healthy. I got here because of my habits. And so what people don't really realize is that, yeah, we're talking about food right now, and we're talking, when I said fuel, and the way that we eat, like putting protein first by not starting your day out with something that's high in caffeine that's going to spike your cortisol, or spike your adrenaline rather, eating foods in the order that doesn't make your glucose go up and then your insulin goes up to chase it. In terms of doing things like that, yeah, those things can predispose you to diabetes. But guess what else can also predispose you to diabetes?
Right.
Living your life in survival mode.
Right.
Because that adrenaline, that cortisol, it acts like sugar.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to realize that, yeah, I was eating healthy. I was not overweight. I moved a little bit, but I wasn't super active like I am now.
Like you are now.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah, I lift weights, I do pull-ups, like, all that.
So
And
moving is important.
It is very
as well,
important.
to kind of offset
Yeah,
those
so it's
things.
a whole holistic lifestyle to get rid of that. It's the food is very important.
Yes.
Because a lot of people I see at the gym, they're doing the weights. They're hitting the weights hard, but they look at me and other people. Why can't I get your results? Like, why can't I get rid of this cellulite? What are you eating?
Yeah.
What are you not eating?
That's why I always say EFP, it can be it's eating for purpose and it's exercising for purpose. But Doc, many people believe they have no control over their health.
Mm-hmm.
How would you encourage someone who want to take their power back?
Mm-hmm. I would encourage them to go back and reflect on something that they have overcome in their life. And that's something they have overcome. Think back to the time that you were really in doubt that you could overcome that. And just tap into that feeling, because that's what feeling you're going to have to tap into when you start to have cravings.
Okay, that's good.
The feelings that you're going to have to tap into when you're out with your family and they're eating the things that you don't eat or you're not supposed to eat, and oh, it looks so good. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to tap into that feeling of how it felt to defy those feelings of doubt at that time when there was something that you felt like you couldn't overcome then.
That's good. So call right back. She was in the middle of something, so call her right back, okay? So here's what line one. Okay, we there? Okay. Good morning. How are you doing?
Well, praise ye the Lord, praise ye the Lord. I am enjoying the program. I want to say this, everything that's been said is awesome. It even makes you say, ouch, but I just had to call in to say strength is real.
Yes.
We have to remember too, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. You know that I've always shared, I'm a 32-year cancer survivor.
Yes.
And when you get to that state, as doctor is talking about, I forgot your name, is that you have to look within yourself and say, Lord, what am I doing to this body that you did not plan for me? He created everything that we need. If you love him, you're going to love yourself enough to know and learn. And this goes out to everyone. Give thanks that you get another opportunity. But I'm saying from a witness and know for sure that God will show you what you need to be able. If you ask him, he will give it to you. And I grant you, you will feel better, do better, and learn from this show, as well as what the young lady is saying, the doctor is saying, because I'm going to be honest with you. When you're dying, you're not thinking about if I woulda, shoulda, coulda. So true. I'm going to hang up on that. And thank you all for all the knowledge. And one thing else, it is well with my soul when you're not lying to yourself, because God will help you when you call it out and mean it from your heart.
Thank you, Ms. Nessa. So, Dr. Young, this is Dr. We're speaking with Dr. LaFara Young, a pathologist here, 20 plus years, triple board certified, and have battled back from an illness herself by taking back her power, right? Her mother is a nurse, and she literally took back her power. And we're trying to help you as the listening audience of WNPR 90.1 to realize that you too can take back your power. And so, Dr. Young, how do you balance medicine and lifestyle as a physician? How do you see the role of medicine alongside nutrition and a healthy lifestyle choice?
Good question. For me, I have to, when you say balance medicine and lifestyle, I have to take an assessment of the things in both areas of what's was most important at the time. As a mother, my children are always going to be more important. And while I'm at work, I have to put my patients first, pretty much all the time. Now, I do have a unique situation in that being a pathologist, I get to pace myself differently than most other physicians because of the way that I do my job, and mostly in front of a microscope, not completely. But as far as the lifestyle, figuring out who right now gets most of my energy. And at some point, that has to be me.
Yeah.
So for a lot of professionals I see, they try to do a job to the point to where they sacrifice their own needs. They forget about their own capacity, which is not limitless. We all have this, what I call this cup. That is our capacity, this inflexible cup. And we try to stuff everything we can into that cup. And that cup is not meant to be stuffed and packed and crammed tight so that we cannot squeeze in things that we need to do, like for some people, lunch at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. whenever they eat it. A lot of us have at some point skipped lunch. A lot of us have at some point not gone to the restroom and ended up like having to get up and run out of the room and go because we kept putting it off. Those things mean that we have put ourselves last. And then we have other people who not just do that, but we allow people to just poke holes into that cup. And that cup is full of, imagine a cup being full of all those things that we talked about. And then you're supposed to add a little liquid around it to keep the cup, well balanced. Well, a lot of us allow people to take from that cup, poke holes into that cup, and then that cup ends up being under capacity. And when it's time for us to pour some of that liquid out of that cup for ourselves, there is nothing to pour out of that cup. And at that point, that's when you start to see things like disease, like burnout, like people not being able to make good decisions because their part of their brain that is responsible for that great decision making is no longer in control. But instead, the part of the brain that's in that survival mode that controls that response, that part of the brain is in control.
Wow, that's a good analysis, Doc. Thank you, and thank you for. We're gonna have to get you back. That's for sure. The audience, I can hear them now saying, "We want more. We want more." We have come up to the end of our time here, but I want you to let people know how they can reach you before we leave.
Okay. So you can reach me. I am at Dr. LaFerra, MD, on all social media. That's DRLAFARRA MD on Facebook. I am also there at Dr. LaFerra MD, but my personal that you can follow me at is LaFerra Young.
Awesome. So thank you, Doc, and thank you all for being listening to My Help My Mississippi, the #1 show on the radio, WMPR 90.1, the #1 station in the nation that's providing you with healthy, helpful information. Who else could have a triple board certified doctor who have taken her power back and want you to take your power back too? So thank you so much, Doc, for being a part of My Help My Mississippi, and we appreciate you so much for who you are as a mother, as a physician, and as for someone who have decided to take back her power. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week, same time, same station. Marcus, let's hear that music, man. The future in great health. Today, every day. future in